the man I was at 30. Thank God I'm not the man I was at 30. But I carry him with me. Every bad decision, every night I can't undo, every love I handled wrong, I carry all of it. And somehow it became the weight I needed. There's a weight that comes from living long enough to know things, the kind of knowledge that the young don't have to hold. The weight of what you've lost and what you've wasted, the weight of the story as it starts to unfold. I have made decisions I am not proud of. I've loved people poorly and have left too soon. I've chosen the wrong road when the right one was beside me. Have been the storm when someone needed the calm moon. And those things sit inside me like stones in pockets, worn smooth now by the years of being carried. Not sharp the way they were in the early seasons, but present in the weight that permanently married. And yet I stand here in the late light, still intact, not unbroken, but still standing, still the same. And the weight of all these years has made me solid, and solid is what matters in the frame. The weight of all these years is on my shoulders, and I'm not going to pretend it isn't there. The weight of all these years has made me older, has put the gray into the thinning of my hair. But underneath the weight is something sturdy, built from everything the years have asked me to become. The weight of all these years is on my shoulders, and I'm stronger for the caring, and I'm done. Done pretending that the years were easy, done performing that the road was smooth and kind. The weight of all these years is on my shoulders, and it's the most important thing I carry in my mind. I think about my father at this age, how he seems so ancient from my younger view. And now I'm standing in the space he occupied, and I understand now what he carried too. The weight of children and the weight of choices, the weight of being someone people needed from, the weight of the providing and the protecting, and the weight of not knowing when you've he. And I wanna be the same kind of carrying, the kind that doesn't hide behind the strong, that admits the weight while still absorbing it, that says, yes, this is heavy, and I'll carry on. Because the carrying is the whole of what a life is, the weight and the choosing to remain upright. And I have chosen every single morning to carry what I'm given into the light. My voice has got the roughness of the decades, has got the gravel of a road well used. And when I sing about the weight of all these years, it comes from somewhere deeper than the bruised. It comes from the surviving and the standing, from the 60 years of choosing to stay here, from the love I found and kept through all the waiting, from the love that made the weight worth carrying clear. The weight of all these years is on my shoulders, and I wouldn't lay a single year aside. The weight of all these years has made me who I am, and who I am is someone with a stride. My hands are old now, the knuckles tell the years, the skin tells the work, but what they tell most clearly is everything they've touched that was worth the touching. These hands have held the tools of 40 years of working, have built things that are standing still today, have fixed the broken and created from the nothing, have held the weight of everything I had to weigh. But the best of what these hands have ever touched is not the wood or the wrench or the maid. It's the hand inside my hand on the first evening. It's the hand that's been inside mine, unafraid. Unafraid for 50 years of the holding, unafraid to be the held when it was needed. And my hands remember every variation, every year of the hand inside the seated. My hands remember when they were uncertain, young and not yet sure what love required. And they learned, the hands learned from the holding, but the hospital and the heart and the afraid. My hands remember everything they've touched with love, and love is all these hands have ever made. These hands have held my children in the first hours, held them with the terror and the awe, the terrifying weight of the entrusted, the love so large there was no room for law. And these hands have held those children grown and leaving, the handshake at the door that cost so much, the letting go that is the truest kind of love, the open hand that has to learn to not clutch. Instrument of more love than I had known the hands were capable of, more than I had hands enough to store. I want the last thing these hands do to be holding, want the last sensation to be her hand in mine. Wanna go out holding what has been the meaning. Want the last thing to be love and love's design. Not the tools, not the building, not the make things. As proud as I have been of everyone, but the hand, the specific hand inside mine, that's the last thing these hands want to have done. My hands remember everything they've touched with love, they will carry it to wherever hands go. My hands remember everything they've touched with love, and love is the only thing the hands need to know. If you gave me the whole thing back, every year of it, every hard night and every beautiful morning, every wrong road and every right one, every love and every loss, I would do it all again. Every single thing, because every single thing led me to where I am standing, and where I am standing is enough. I have been asked if I have any regrets, and the honest answer is, of course I do. I regret the nights I chose the wrong knew it. The times I let my pride speak over you. I regret the years I spent on things that mattered less. The work I put ahead of what was living. I regret the words I kept when they were needed. The love I held in reserve when it needed giving. And yet, I would not change the whole of it. I would not trade the broken for a smoother road, because the broken made me what I am beside you, and what I am beside you is the best I've ever owned. Note is not the right word. Love is not a debt, but the gratitude for what the years have given. The gratitude that sits inside my chest at evenings. The weight of being loved completely, fully living. I would do it all again. Every road and every heart and every lost. I would do it all again, 'cause every moment paid was worth the cost. Not because the hard was good, the hard was hard. Not because the losing didn't take its toll. I would do it all again, 'cause every piece of it made the whole. And the whole is you and me at the end of everything. The whole is the porch and the morning and the years. I would do it all again, and again and again and again, through the tears. I would love you in the 25 and 30, and in the 40 when the children filled the house. I would love you in the 50 when the house went quiet, and in the 60 when we learned to be spouse. Spouse without the children, in the dailiness. Just the two of us returned to something like the start. And the start felt different from this end of everything, and deeper and more certain at the heart. More certain that this was the right road always. More certain that the long way was the way. And I would walk the long way every single time, if it ends with you at the end of the day. This is the song at the end of the album, the final chord of everything I've made. And I want the final chord to be the same, the saying of the thing I should have often said, that you were worth the whole of it completely, that you were worth every single year I've lived, that loving you has been my life's great honor, and the honor is the most that I can give. And the giving isn't done, not yet, not nearly. I have mornings left and I will use them all. Every morning left I will choose you beside me. Every morning left until the final call. same love from the first night, warm and bold. And bold is not a word I use for much that's gentle, but bold is what love is in the late season. Bold to keep on choosing past the easy, bold to love without requiring a reason. No reason needed, none, just the being here, just the window in the kitchen and the hand, just the porch chairs in the evening and the ending, just the love that only we two understand. I would do it all again, and I am doing it again right now today. I would do it all again, and again is every morning that I wake beside you, which is the whole point, which is the answer to the question of the years. I would do it all again. And again is not a burden, it's a gift. The gift of every morning still to come, the gift of every love known. When you live long enough, you start to outlive people you love. And nobody warns you about that. Nobody says, here's what it feels like to still be here when they are not. I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like being trusted with something. I have stood at gravesides now more times than I count. Stood in the suits and the silence and the storm. Said goodbye to people who were my whole seasons, people without whom I thought I'd be alone. And I was alone for periods, for the after, the specific lonely of the grief of the close, not the general lonely of the unconnected, but the lonely of the specific that you miss the most. My brother went at 58 in November, my oldest friend at 62 in spring. And every loss has taken something with it, some specific thing that only they could bring. And I'm still here in the after of each leaving, still here when the storm and the ceremony end. And I don't know what to call the being still here, except the continuation of the friend. I've outlived some of my loves, and it has changed me, changed the way I hold the ones who remain. I've outlived some of my loves, and it has named me as the one who stays through the pain. Not the brave kind, not the chosen kind of staying, just the being here because they're not kind of remain. I've outlived some of my loves, and I am grateful, grateful that the love itself remains the same. The love doesn't go when the person goes completely. It just changes into something different shaped, into the story that I tell at winter evenings, into the specific way I see the aged. See the aged as the ones who carry the most people, the ones who hold the gun inside the galling. And every year I carry more inside me, and the carrying is the fullest kind of knowing. Knowing that the ones we've loved become us, that they live inside the way we see the world. My brother lives inside my sense of humor. My friend lives in the places I've explored. I wanna say this to the ones who fear the losing, who fear the outliving that the years bring. The love survives the losing, that's the promise. Not the person, but the love, which is the thing. And the thing is what you carry, and what carries you through every after and every continue and more. And I am made all the loves I've carried, made of every person who has gone before. So when my time comes, and I know it's coming, I want the ones who love me to believe that I will live inside the way they love people, inside the specific love they carry when they grieve. I've outlived some of my loves, and it has taught me that love is the most durable of things. I've outlived some of my loves, and it has brought me to the understanding of what living brings. Nobody says, here's what it feels like to still be here when they are not. I'll tell you what it feels like. It feels like being trusted with something. I have stood at gravesides now more times than I count. Stood in the suits and the silence and the stone, said goodbye to people who were my whole seasons, people without whom I thought I'd be alone. And I was alone for periods, for the after. I used to fight the current, spent half my life fighting the current, pushing upstream against everything. And then one morning I just stopped, and the river carried me, and the river knew where it was going all along. I was the kind of man who pushed against the moving, who thought the hard way was the only honest way, who wore the struggle like a badge of something worthy, who couldn't find the value in the easy day. And love was something I made hard unnecessarily, turned simple things into the complicated, made the loving into something to be earned and proven, made the ordinary into something weighted. But the river doesn't rush in the late season. The late season river knows there's nowhere left to be. It moves with something more like understanding, with the certainty of everything that's free. And I have learned the late season way of moving, have learned to let the current be the guide, have learned that love is not a thing to push against, but something to be carried on the tide. The river doesn't rush anymore, and neither does the love that I have left. The river doesn't rush anymore, and neither do these lungs with each slow breath. I have made my peace with the pace of the older, with the slow and with the steady and the sure. The river doesn't rush anymore, and unhurried love is the most beautiful cure. I love her differently now than in the rushing. Love her in the way the river loves the stone, not the fierce and the consuming and the urgent, but the constant and the shaping and the home. And the shaping is the most important loving, the love that changes you so slowly you don't notice, until you look one day and see the stone is different, worn smooth by years of love without a fuss. And I am the stone, and she is the river, and she has shaped me in the ways that rivers do, made me smooth where I was sharp and raw, made me someone worth the flowing to. I think about the younger man who rushed the river, who thought the rushing was the whole of what it meant. And I wanna tell him, slow down, let the current, let the water take you where the water went. Because the water knows the valley and the storm, knows the care life you're given, and the life you're given is the whole of what you'll be. The river doesn't rush anymore, and the love is slower and more true. The river doesn't rush anymore, and slow is how I want to love you. Slow and certain, and without the urgent needing. Slow and present in the moment that we have. The river doesn't rush anymore, and slow is the most honest thing I've ever had. My father wasn't either. We showed love through the doing, the fixing and the providing, and the being there. But I'm sitting here now at the end of things, wondering if the doing was ever enough without the saying. I built things with my hands that I was proud of, fixed what was broken without being asked, worked through every season without complaining, gave everything the giving asked. But the words were harder for me always. The three words and the variations of the three. I said them, but I rationed them like something precious, like saying them too often made them free. And I was wrong, I know that now for certain. The saying doesn't wear the words away. The saying feeds the love the way the water feeds the garden, and the garden needs the water every day. And she needed the water, she needed the saying, needed the words alongside all the doing. And I gave her one and held back on the other. And I see now what that withholding was undoing. I never said it enough, I never said it enough. The beautiful and the proud and the I love you. I never said it enough, and I'm saying it now with everything I have left in me. With every year of unsaid pouring through. I love you, I have always loved you. I love you in the gravel of this voice. I love you in the tired and the weathered and the knowing. I love you, and I'm making that the choice. I love you when that you're right and I'm not. I love you in the afternoon. I love you in the ordinary kitchen. I love you in the difficult and the great. I love you in the version of yourself at 70, more than I loved you on the very first day. And I should have been saying it like this all along. Should have let it come out freely and often. But I say it now, I say it every morning. And saying it is how the years have softened. There's a man I know who lost his wife last winter, who sits now with the words he never said, who would give every year, remaining just to say them, just to fill the quiet that she left with something fed. And I think about him when I almost keep it quiet, when the old habit pulls the words back in. I think about the quiet that is coming from me too. And I open my mouth and let the love begin. I never said it enough, but I'm saying it now. I'm saying it in the morning, in the evening, in the dark. I never said it enough, but every day from here I'm saying it like it comes straight from the heart. Because the heart is what it comes from, only the heart. And the heart has been full of it for 60 years. I never said it enough, but I'm saying it enough now. I'm saying it enough now. Through the gravel and the gray and the tears. I've never been a man of letters, but I find myself at 70 wanting to write something down, something that the daily doesn't carry, something that deserves the paper. Dear love, I am writing this at the kitchen table, the lamp on because the afternoon has gone. You are in the garden in the last of the October light, and I am watching through the window, writing on. I wanna tell you things the years forgot to say, or said in ways too small for what they were. That every morning of the 52 years waking beside you has been more than I deserve. More than a man like me could ever justify, more than I had reason to expect. The ordinary miracle of being known completely and being loved inside of that, respected. I have been difficult, I know that you know that. The stubbornness and the quiet and the proud. And you love me through the difficult with patience that I never managed to be worthy of. Aloud, this love letter written at 70 is everything I should ever written at 30. This love letter written at 70 is the one the younger version was too busy. Too busy with the doing and the building and the proving, too young to know the saying was the thing. This love letter written at 70 is the debt I owe to every unsaid spring. Dear love, I love the way you laugh at your own jokes before the punchline every single time. I love the way you garden in the serious manner, as if the roses needed a defined design. I love your stubbornness, which rivals mine completely, and how you always think you're right and are. I love the way you cry at films we've seen before, as if the ending might be different, near and far. I love you at your best, which is impressive, and I love you at your worst, which I have seen. I love the version that nobody else is given, and I love everything between. I am not good at the beautiful expression. The gravel of this voice was made for simpler things, but I know that love requires the saying, requires the ink and paper and what it brings. So I am writing what I've carried in the quiet, what I felt through every season of the two. And if this letter is the last thing that I write you, and the last thing that I wrote was, I love you. This love letter written at 70 is the most important thing these hands have made. This love letter written at 70, more important than everything else displayed, more important than the house and all the building, more important than the labor and the years. This love letter written at 70 is the whole of what this whole thing means, my dear. I spend a lot of time at windows now, watching the street below do what streets do. The young ones rushing somewhere important, and I think I know where you're rushing to. I've been there. Slow down, it will still be there. I was one of those rushing ones, believe me, always somewhere urgent and beyond, always chasing the next version of the something, always looking for the next thing to respond. And love was something I fit into the margins between the ambition and the going and the done. I gave it what was left of me at evenings, the remainder when the work was mostly run. And it lasted, the love lasted. She was patient, patient in the way that deep love learns to be. She waited at the window while I chased the urgent, and she was there each time I came back quietly. Living down below me, and grateful for the quiet after all the call. Old man by the window with his coffee going cold, watching all the rushing that he used to do. Old man by the window with his stories in the fold, and the only thing that matters in the view is not the street, not the rushing, not the somewhere. It's the sound of her still breathing in the next room. Old man by the window with his coffee going cold, and love is still the warmest thing in the room. I think about the choices I would make again different, and the list is long but sits at the end of things. At the front of the list is less of the rushing, more of the window with her and what evening brings. More of the sitting still and being present, more of a looking at the face across the room, less of the away and more of the returning, more of the slow and less of the consumed. But I can't change the rushing, it already happened. Can only work with what the morning gives me now, and the morning gives me window and her breathing, and that is more than I had learned to allow. I have a message for the rushing ones below me, the ones who think the urgent is the whole. that the urgent passes faster than you're ready, and what remains is everything you chose. You chose the margins, or you chose the center. You chose the work, or you chose the staying close. And I chose wrong more often than I'll tell you. And the window is the proof of what that costs. But it is also proof that love survives it, that the patient love outlasts the rushing man. And if I have this window and her breathing, I have more than most men understand. Old man by the window with his coffee going cold, and grateful for the call and the morning and the view. Old man by the window with his whole life in the fold, and the only thing that matters still is you. Still her after all the years and all the rushing. Still her at the center of the everything. Old man by the window with his coffee going cold, and cold coffee with her is the finest offering. Spend a lot of time at windows now, watching the street below do what streets do. I spend a lot of time. My father came home tired every day of his life. I didn't understand what he was carrying until I started carrying it myself. I've come home tired for 40 years of working, come through the door with the weight still on my back, the weight of the providing and the holding, the weight of all the things I can't take back, the decisions made on behalf of people counting, the responsibility that doesn't leave at 5, the keeping of the lights on and the table, the daily cost of keeping us alive. And she was always there when I came through it, that door, that threshold, that specific air, the smell of something cooking and her moving, the specific warmth of someone choosing to be there. And she never asked me what the day it cost me. She could read it in the posture and the eyes, and she would hand me something warm and sit beside me, and that was the only decompression I required. is the love dressed up as labor, and I have carried every day and will until I'm stilled. I don't say this to complain. I chose the carrying, chose the door and the threshold and the weight, chose the 40 years of time coming home to her, chose the labor over every easier fate. Because what's on the other side of the threshold, what waits inside the smell of something cooking, is the reason that the carrying is bearable, the reason that the tired doesn't stop me looking forward to the door, to coming through it, to her and all the ordinary that she keeps. And 40 years have not diminished that specific looking, that specific gratitude before I sleep. My son came home exhausted just this Tuesday, 20 years younger and already carrying it all. And I watched him sit down at the table heavy, and his wife hand him something, and I saw the fall of the weight as someone loving met him, the specific decompression of the known. And I thought, that's it, that's what it's for. The labor and the carrying come home. What a man carries home is love in heavy clothing, and the love has held me up through every year. What a man carries home is everything that matters, and what matters has been waiting for me here. Through every tired evening and every heavy threshold, through every door I've come through, worn and slow. What a man carries home is love dressed up as labor, and home is where the labor learns to go. She says something every night before she sleeps. Sometimes it's nothing, just a sound. Sometimes it's a sentence, but it's always exactly what I needed to hear, without knowing I needed it. Last Tuesday it was just my name, just that, said in the way she says it when she's almost gone, soft and undefended in the halfway of the sleeping, just my name to mark the place she's going from. And I lay there in the dark, receiving it, one specific word that was my hope. 4 letters and a lifetime in the saying. 4 letters and she handed me my soul. And Monday, it was something about the morning, something about needing milk and maybe bread, the most practical and least romantic offering. And I loved it more than any poem said, because that's the intimacy of the long love, the practical and the sacred in the same, the milk and bread and the saying of my name in darkness. And both of them mean everything the same. The last thing she said before sleep last night was the most beautiful sound I've heard all day. The last thing she said before sleep last night was all I needed her to say. Not the grand and not the decorated, just the ordinary of a woman going to sleep. The last thing she said before sleep last night is mine and mine and mine to keep. I collect them, I don't think she knows I collect them. The last things, the before sleep things, the quiet. Some nights the sentence, and some nights the silence. Some nights I laugh about something I'd forgotten by the riot. By the riot of the day that's finally over, the day that has delivered us to this, to the bed and to the quiet and the almost sleeping, to the last thing and the darkness and the bliss. And bliss is the right word, even in the tired, even in the 60-year-old version of the two. Bliss is lying in the dark beside someone who says your name. Bliss is all the last thing said by you. I hope I am the last thing that she hears before sleeping. I hope my voice lands somewhere in her rest. I hope the words I offer in the margin of the evening find their way into whatever she dreams best. And I hope that in the morning she remembers, not the words but the feeling of the said, the feeling that she wasn't alone in the dark, that the last thing before sleep was love instead. The last thing she said before sleep last night was everything I needed, nothing more. The last thing she said before sleep last night is what the 60 years of loving were all for. Just the dark and the quiet and the ordinary, just enough side. The last thing she said before sleep last night is the reason I don't ask the reason why. She doesn't know I watch her. She thinks she's alone in the kitchen, but I'm in the doorway, like I've been in the doorway for 40 years, watching her be herself. And it still does the same thing to me every single time. The radio's on low, just something from the afternoon, and she's making something at the counter half done. And the song catches her somewhere in the middle, and she starts moving in that way she's always done. Not performing, not for anyone, just feeling, just the body responding to the thing. Arms wide and hips slow and head tilted backward, just a woman in her kitchen in the spring. And I stand there in the doorway like a lucky man, which is what I am, and I have always been. Lucky to have lived inside the orbit of a woman who still dances when she thinks she's not being seen. And my voice is old now, rougher than the early, and my feet are slower than they were back then. But my heart does the same thing it did at 30, watching her dance in the kitchen yet again. She still dances in the kitchen when she thinks I'm not watching, and I'm always watching, and I'm always glad. She still dances in the kitchen on a Tuesday afternoon, and that dance is the best thing I have ever heard. Not the grand occasions and the celebrating moments, not the holidays or birthday or the best. She still dances in the kitchen on the ordinary, and ordinary with her passes every test. I think about the kitchens we've danced in over decades, the apartments and the houses and the rented, each one with a radio on some afternoon of Tuesday, each one with the dance that she invented. The same dance, different decade, different kitchen, different hair and different song and different year, but the same woman and the same unguarded moving, and the same lucky man in the doorway, always here. And the luckiest part isn't just the watching, it's that she lets me in when she discovers Not embarrassed, not performing differently, just turning and including. She recovers into the dance, becoming two people, two old people, slow and grateful in the kitchen. And I take her hand the way I've always taken it, and we dance the way we've always been enriching. I wanna keep this as long as I am able. The Tuesday and the radio and the kitchen, the unguarded and the dancing and the doorway, the watching and the joining and the wishing. Because this is what love looks like from the inside. Not the beginning and the fire and the new, but the 60 years of Tuesday kitchen dancing, and still being the person that she's dancing to. She still dances in the kitchen when she thinks I'm not watching, and I will watch until the watching is no more. She still dances in the kitchen on the ordinary Tuesday, and every Tuesday dance is what I'm grateful for. Through every year and every kitchen still before us, through every afternoon that radio plays, she still dances in the kitchen when she thinks I'm not watching. And watching her is how I'll spend my days.
I've been loving you for 60 years. 60 years of mornings. 60 years of your name being the first thing and the last thing, and everything in between. My hands look different than they did when I first held you. The skin is taking on the years and shows, but the feeling underneath the aged skin is the same feeling, the same pull toward you that nobody knows. Nobody knows it the way I know it. 60 years of knowing what your love feels like, the warmth of it in summer and in winter, the steadiness of it through every long night. I remember the first night I couldn't sleep beside you, not from worry, but from wondering at the luck that this specific person chose, this specific evening, to sit beside me and to let her heart unstuck. And I still have that feeling in the mornings, still reach across and find you there, and know that 60 years have not diminished, know that what we have has only learned to grow. paper for the decades it has worn. 60 years of loving you, and I'm still learning, still finding new things in the old and the known. 60 years of loving you, and I'm still turning towards you like a flower toward the home. Not the young love, not the breathless and the certain, but the love that has outlasted every storm. 60 years of loving you, and I'm still burning, slow and low and steady and still warm. I think about the versions of you I've been given, the young one and the middle and the now. Each one the most beautiful in its own season, each one teaching me a different kind of how. How to love the confident and the uncertain, how to love the strong and the afraid, how to love the tired and the triumphant, how to love through every light and shade. And I have not loved perfectly, I'll tell you, I have gotten it wrong more times than I'd count. But I have always come back to the table, always chosen you above the doubt. When they ask me what the secret of the 60 is, I never have a complicated thing to say. I say, show up, that's all, show up. Show up when it's easy and show up when it's hard today, because the 60 isn't one enormous gesture. It's 60 years of the small and the consistent. It's 60 years of reaching and of choosing. 60 years of loving at the distance and the instant. And I would do it 60 more if given. Would do it tight and slow and gray and warm, because 60 years of loving you is living, and living is the only thing worth more. The gravel of the decades, the roughness of a road that's been well used. And when I sing to you, it carries everything inside it. Every year we've lived, every time I've bruised. But underneath the gravel is the feeling, the same feeling from the very first night. And I want you to hear the feeling through the gravel, hear the love beneath the weathered and the slight. 60 years of loving you, and I'm still here, still choosing you against whatever comes. The warmth of it in summer and in winter, the steadiness of it to every question that comes. I remember the first night I couldn't sleep beside you, not from worry, but from wondering at the look. I remember the first night I couldn't sleep beside you, not from worry, but from wondering at the look that this specific person chose perfect evening, to sit beside me and to let her heart unstuck. And I still love that feeling.
There was a night we almost didn't make it. I want to say that plainly, not to dramatize, but because the almost is important. The almost is where we chose. We had said things that can't be taken back exactly, the kind that leave a shade in the air, the kind that come from somewhere true and furious, the kind that prove the love is still in there. Because you only fight like that for things worth fighting, only reach that depth of honest when it matters. And it mattered more than anything before it, which is why the night felt like it shattered. The kitchen at 2 in the morning, both of us standing in the wreckage of everything we'd built. And the choice was there between us on the table: walk away or stay inside the guilt. Not the guilt of being wrong, though we were both wrong, but the guilt of what the walking away would be. The guilt of having something real and leave it. The guilt of choosing fear over the we. The night we almost didn't make it was the night we decided that we would. The night we almost didn't make it was the night that love proved that it could survive the 2 a.m. and the kitchen, could survive the things we'd said and meant. The night we almost didn't make it was the night that taught me what commitment meant. We didn't fix it that night, not completely. Some breaks take longer than a single night, but we decided that's the thing we did together. Decided that the morning would find us still in fights, not fighting each other, fighting for each other, fighting for the thing we built too long to lose. And that decision, made at 2 a.m. in the kitchen, is the decision I would make again if I had to choose. Because the choosing in the hardest moment matters. The choosing when the easier is clear, and the easier was walking out that evening. And we chose the harder, and we're still right here. Here's to the couples at the edge, the ones who feel the kitchen and the 2 a.m. That the almost doesn't have to be the ending. The almost can be where you choose to begin. Begin again, the staying is beginning. Every time you choose each other, it begins. And the night you almost didn't make it is the night the real love starts to live within. The night we almost didn't make it, we made it. And that making is our everything. The night we almost didn't make it is the night I'm most proud of anything. Not the achievements and the built and the accomplished, but the 2 a.m. decision in the broken. The night we almost didn't make it, and we made it, and the making was the spoken. Love in the hardest of the moments. That's the marriage. That's the 60 years. That's the 2 chairs on the porch in the evening. The making it through. The making it right here. She was cold, her hand was cold in mine, and I held it tighter. Like warmth is something you can pass from one person to another. Maybe it is. Maybe that's all love ever was. The hospital is quiet in the early morning, the kind of quiet that is way to it. The machine's doing what the machines do always. The soft beeping that becomes the opposite of comfort. And I am in the chair that has become my home now, the chair beside her bed for 3 weeks running. And I hold her hand the way I've held it always. But now the holding has a different kind of stunning. Because the hand I'm holding is the hand of everything. 60 years of mornings built inside this hand. And the machine beside it keeps on telling me it's here. And I tell the machine I understand. I understand, she's here, I can feel her. Not fully, not the way she usually is, but present in the breathing and the warmth of her. Still present in the certainty that she's his. And I talk to her, I know she may not hear me. I talk to her about the ordinary things, about the garden and the neighbor and the Tuesday, about the small and beautiful everything. Holding her hand in the hospital at midnight, talking about the garden to the beeping and the light.
night. Not the grand and not the final declaration. She's heard the grand and final from this voice before. Holding her hand in the hospital at midnight. Just the garden and the Tuesday and the more. I've prayed more in these 3 weeks than in decades. Not the formal kind, just the talking at the ceiling. Just the man in the chair beside the bed and the machines, asking for more mornings, asking for more feeling. More feeling in her hand, more certainty in the breathing, more of her returning to the version I know. And sometimes in the night, the breathing deepens slightly, and I sit up in the chair and watch it grow. Grow into something more like sleep than something other. Grow into the breath of someone resting, not leaving. And I take those nights as evidence of going home together, as evidence of still, as evidence of breathing. I wanna say to anyone who sits beside someone in the chair that smells like hospital and fear, that the hand holding is the most important thing you're doing, the most important thing that gets you through from here. Not the doctors and the decisions and the navigating, though those matter, and I do them all with care. But the hand is where the love lives currently. The hand is how she knows that I am there. Holding her hand in the hospital at midnight, and talking about the garden and the light. Holding her hand in the hospital at midnight, telling her I need her for more nights, more ordinary Tuesday kitchen dancing nights, more cold coffee in the window in the morning. Holding her hand in the hospital at midnight, and begging for the ordinary, just the ordinary, please, just the ordinary.